Good morning. Welcome to this beautiful morning. We are here in our studio at St. Richard's. Today we are with Eloy, Dulce, and Joy. So we have a good things going on there behind the scenes. Uh, so my hope is that today we would. This is gonna be like the fifth Saturday that we've been talking about the moral conscience and the social teachings of the church. Yeah, fourth on the faithful citizenship document, and then one that we did on moral conscience. So I hope to just finish this, and of course I hope that what we have been doing in the past few weeks have been helpful, and it's been of good for you for as a reflection and to know the things that the church uphold as teachings. Okay, so but before we continue, let us begin always as we do with prayer to places ourselves in the presence of God. And let us begin in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Lord, we give you thanks for this beautiful day. We give you thanks for the blessings that you pour upon us. We give you blessing. We give you thanks for the blessings that you give us each day, and the blessings that we don't even realize that you keep giving us. But we give you thanks for that, and we also ask of you to send us the Holy Spirit so that we will be guided and inspired in this morning, and we ask to give us the open mindedness to be able to take into our hearts the teachings of the church and help us to be more faithful disciples of the Lord. And we ask all this through Christ our Lord. Amen. Okay, so welcome to all of you. We we're gonna be discussing this morning two things that I want to do, and I think it's hopefully we'll get it done, but I'll try to be quick. So we have the last session on the document is about marriage and family and care for creation. So we will tackle those two areas, and then they have put in the the Conference of Bishops of Wisconsin, they put together like a questionnaire or kind of questions that you should ask yourself regarding your candidates, and it's like the different questions taking into account the different teachings of the church, and I want to like close by that, and then open up to questions if you have. So Dulce, could you take us to the third slide, which talks about why are marriage and family essential? So of course, this has been for the history. The family founded upon marriage is the basic cell of human society. There's a small. The church teaches about being also the domestic church, the family being the court for any society, and so the role and responsibilities and needs of the families should be central to national priorities. So family is where the society is best uh, based upon. So and you just if you look around and you see different things, you find that if there is a not well structured family, chances are that people would have harder issues or hard times in their lives. I've lived in places that are poor and the family structure is not really there, and you could see the reality how even in the same poverty, but a person with a good family structure has more chances to go up and develop himself or herself than a person in the same poverty but without the family structure. So that's really important, and so the church teaches that. And then marriage must be defined, recognized, and protected as a lifelong exclusive commitment between a man and a woman as the source of the next generation and protective having heaven for children. So this is not only the role of being the the basis for the society, but also the future of society, the procreative part that we all um, share with God. No, then the institution of marriage is undermined by the ideology of gender that dismisses sexual difference and the complementarity of the sexes, and falsely present gender as nothing more than a social construct or psychological reality, which a person may choose to variance with his or her biological reality. So that's the teaching of the church, and we have this document is really it's that thick, the compendium of the social doctrine of the church. But there you have all the encyclicals, all the social teachings of the church in tradition, and it's actually, I mean, if you ever want to have some kind of resources for any studies or groups that you may lead, that will be a good resource book to have. As Pope Francis has taught, the removal of sexual difference creates a problem, not a solution. This affirmation in no way comprises the Church's opposition to unjust and discrimination against those who experience deep seated homosexual tendencies, who must be accepted with respect, compassion, and sensitivity. So that's the teaching. Let us move towards the next slide. Which public policies help families? Well, policies on taxes, work, divorce, immigration, and welfare should uphold the God-given meaning and value of marriage and family, help families stay together, and reward responsibilities and responsibility and sacrifice for children. Wages should allow workers to support their families, and public assistance should be available to help the poor families to live in dignity. Such assistance should be provided in a manner that promotes eventual financial autonomy. That's key for any social programs. And if we were discussing about what social programs and what things the government should do, of course, we probably have as the 20 some people that are here, 26, 7, uh, and I and the three in here, we probably could have differences on it. But I think that we could all agree that a safety net is needed in a society, but a safety net that is also well regulated, that doesn't become dependency for people, and instead of like paternalizing people sometimes, because that's what some social programs will end up doing, and nobody wants that. We want the development of the human person, and if you happen to need the help and something, a safe net for few weeks or month is one thing, but if living out of it is another thing. So but that's but some kind of help should be there for families, because if we talk about our family being the core and the cell of society, so the support needs to be there, and help them develop, of course, by themselves. So the next one, what rights do children have? Well, Pope Francis has stressed that children have a right to grow up in a family with a father and a mother capable of creating a suitable environment for the child's development and emotional maturity. Children who may be placed in foster care or with adoptive parents have a right to be placed in homes with a married man and woman, or if not possible, in environments that do not contradict the authentic meaning of marriage. Child welfare services providers, consistent with their religious belief, have a right to place children in such homes rather than in other environments. We oppose contraceptive and abortion mandates in public programs and health plans, which endanger rights of conscience and can interfere with parents' rights to guide the moral formation of their children. Again, remember that the core teaching of the church is about conscience, no? And if you are pushed to do something that goes against your conscience, well, it's not right, and we uphold that. And that's why some programs or some plans or some people would like others to just give up their own right to make their own decisions on well-formed conscience, and that's not the church teachings. So we could continue the other slide, Dulce. what can we do to protect the natural environment and to assist the poor? So now we move. Remember, I mentioned that we have this last section, uh, marriage and family. So basically, those three things. Why are marriage and family essential? What policies should be out there to help families, and then what are the rights of children. So now we move into what it will be about care for creation, which I think is one of the things that is really, I mean, everything is important, but I think it's something that is pressing to us in our generation, and I think is really also very important for us out of love and generosity and out for humanity, for the whole human race, to think about others in the future, for the future of the future generations, because we will be losing and wasting our time just to fight to preserve and protect those who are now here, and then forget about preparing and leaving a good planet for the generations to come. I think that will be kind of really hypocritical way to look at things. No, say, oh yeah, well, protect those who are here right now, but I don't care about how the world or how the planet is going to be for the future. No. So what can we do to protect the natural environment and to assist the poor? Protecting the land, water, and air we share is a religious duty of stewardship and reflects our responsibility to born and unborn children who are most vulnerable to environment assault. There are many concrete steps we can take to assure justice and solidarity between the generations. Our conference offers a distinctive call to seriously address global climate change, focusing on the virtue of prudence, pursuit of the common good, and the impact on the poor, particularly on vulnerable workers and the poorest nations. The United States, this is the bishops of the Catholic Church here in the United States talking. The United States should lead in contributing to the sustainable development of poorer nations and promoting greater justice in sharing the burden of environmental blight, neglect, and recovery. It is important that we address the rising number of migrants who are uprooted from their homeland as a consequence of environmental degradation and climate change. They are not currently recognized as refugees under any existing international convention and are thus not afforded legal protections that ought to be due to them. When you see the different droughts and especially like when it comes to food production, some places really have a hard time because of climate change. I I'm a farmer, so I always kind of reflect about those things. And I grew up in Colombia, and I could see the difference from when I was a boy, which is not, well, it's like 30 years ago, but anyway. So but this is a big difference between these last 30 years, like in the raining patterns, in the vegetation and all that. It's changed. And I mean, it's we through our farm used to go like a small creek, a water creek, that I would as a child go and swim there, and now it's not the whole year running water there. And it used to be like I grew up like every day looking at it and saying, and this the some effects on climate change that are real and are affecting people in different places. I think sometimes we need to be mindful. No, if we are an urban society, we probably don't realize and don't feel it and don't notice. But people who have lived in different areas and different places and are out in contact with nature, they could see it. And then you talk to them, and they will tell you about things that of the past. And I think this is really important, and it's a responsibility that you and we all have to do. And I know it's very hard because it's challenging, but at least each one of us should try to do our own part in our behavior patterns and how we could be eco-friendly and friendly to creation. No, so another one to see. So, along with the importance of little everyday gestures, that's what I just was saying, social love moves us to devise larger strategies to halt environmental degradation, and to encourage a culture of care which permeates all society. This is Pope Francis in Laudato Si. I think one of the biggest things is, of course, we need to be outspoken. Of course, we need to talk about this. But I think we all could do our little thing in the ways we do. Like, okay, we have cars, we have things, and we buy, and we have a lot of plastic, a lot. I mean, we just kind of, if we do care for creation, and we all do, I know because you are good and faithful people, we should do small things, not little things that it helps protect and care for nature. And imagine if we all try to start doing those things, it becomes a culture of care, as Pope Francis talks about, a culture that helps protect the nature for the next generation. So, Dulce, let us move to the next one. So, what about ensuring that fewer people are born into poverty? So, as Pope Francis explains, instead of resolving the problems of the poor and thinking of how the world can be different, some can only propose a reduction in the birth rate. At times, developing countries face forms of international pressure which make economic assistance contingent on certain policies of reproductive health. To blame population growth instead of extreme and selective consumerism on the part of some is one way of refusing to face the issues. It is an attempt to legitimize the present model of distribution, where a minority believes that it has the right to consume in a way which can never be universalized, since the planet could not even contain the waste products of consumption. This is really like key here, and Pope Francis really tackle, no? Because we what's the first thing that we just blame is, oh, we are too many, way too many, we are overpopulated, so let us, instead of maybe live in a more austere way, austere will be, I think, the right thing, to live in austere way. We just, okay, let's stop being so many so that we can live in this like non-stop consumption of products. And I honestly, when you see, and I sometimes I feel of myself like ashamed when I look at my closet, and I've tried to be a minimalist. I try to have really just the things that I need, but I get ashamed. I mean, it's like I don't need all that stuff that I have, and it's a constant reminder to myself that the planet and the fact that I could get things, the fact that I could have the means to get them, doesn't mean that I should do it. That we need to face that. We need to, I mean, like, we need to ask ourselves the question: when is enough? When I have enough? What is enough for me? Do I need to have the latest or whatever thing, or just keep the things that I need, and that's it? And I it is hard to live. I'm honestly, you and I, we know we try to be very, very good stewards of what God has given us, very good stewards of caring for the world, but we fall. I mean, but at least what we need to do, and what I think Pope Francis is inviting us here, is to face the real issue and say, well, ask ourselves, do we really need, or and again, we're not going to change the world because we are only 30 people here, but we could change our pattern, our behavior patterns, and we could do little, but we could do it so that we, at least, as again, we could go at night and sleep well, and be having a good conscience that we have done our part. And so the Lord could tell us, well done, my good and faithful servant, you did it right, so come in. And so let's go to the next one. Okay, what about ensuring that the fewer people... Oh, that one already. Oh yeah, that's the next slide. Besides, we know that approximately a third of all food produced is discarded. And whenever food is thrown out, it is as if it were stolen from the table of the poor. That's Pope Francis talking. Still, attention needs to be paid to imbalances in population density on both national and global levels, since a rise in consumption will lead to complex regional situations as a result of the interplay between problems linked to environmental pollution, transport, waste, and treatment, waste treatment and loss of resources and quality of life. And that's Pope Francis in Laudato Si. And again, I think it's very strong, that phrase. No, the food is that is thrown out. It is as if it were stolen from the table of the poor. And I don't know how it was here, but growing up, and I think probably it's not politically correct what I'm gonna say, but growing up, my mother would place the food in front of me, and believe it or not, I mean, I like to eat, but vegetables was as I grew older, I learned to like them. But my mother would put it there, and I wouldn't eat, and I just stare at them and like looking at them, and mom's has a very good way of playing the guilty part of you, and she was like, well, you should see like how children in Africa don't even have any food, and then you don't eat that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, then I'm so blessed that I have food. And I mean, I that's what I say. It's probably not politically correct, but I grew up with that in mind, that I have the food and some people didn't have food, and I couldn't just throw that food away or couldn't just let it pass. I think I mean, besides the politically correctness of the comment, is really what is at the core of it, that I need to be mindful that this food that I have is a blessing to me. And some people don't have that blessing. And so being wasteful and throwing that away is throwing that blessing away. And that's what Pope Francis is trying to call us and invite us to reflect upon on this document and the Laudato Si. Okay, so with that, we would finish what the document would be, the Faithful Citizenship document prepared by the Catholic Conference of Bishops and also the Conference of Bishops of Wisconsin. And they prepare these documents, and there are resources for the parishes and resources for us to use. And I know we normally kind of, these documents, which are very important for us, we just do it almost every 4 years. So that is when election time comes, it's like when we remember to talk about this. And it probably is it's very important for us to know that it's not just on election time, that it's every moment and every time. And so I was talking to somebody and say like, well, we already know what we are going to, I mean, like, why should we discuss these non-documents? Because people already know what we're going to say, and we all know. But I think at least for me, if I could tell you, doing this last 4 Saturdays on this document has helped me to understand and be better informed on our teachings, on social teachings of the church, at least regarding where we are facing the election. And I wanted to share that with you because I wanted that we all be informed and be mindful. I think I have been successful in being neutral, not to express any don't go to any way, because this is not the place to have my political opinions, but I just wanted to share with you like the whole teaching. So now we're going to look into the next few slides, which is the Conference of Catholic Bishops of Wisconsin. They put a document, and it's basically taking into account like 4 sections, and questions that we should probably ask ourselves when we are going to elect a public officer. So, like for example, they have divided in 4 sections, which is, the first one is every human life is created in God's image and therefore sacred, and we will go there. The second one is talking about the family. The family is the domestic church, and talking about family. And then the other one is God has a special love for the poor and vulnerable. Workers collaborate in development of God's creation. And final, respect for the the creator is shown by our care for his creation. No, there's that, like those four sessions, and we place some few questions there. So I want to go through them, and I just offer it to you to use it as a reflection that could help make a good decision for each one. So the first, like the principle is every human. Dulce, go to the next slide, please. The principle is every human life is created in God's image and therefore sacred. Then the question on how is what you where does the candidate stand on? So there are a few bullet points there. So protecting human life from conception to natural death. So that's the question that we need to ask the candidates. Preserving state limits on abortion. Preserving the state ban on assisting suicide and euthanasia. Prohibiting research that uses aborted fetal parts of human embryos. Banning the cloning of human embryos. Addressing and eliminating racism. Treating all refugees and immigrants with dignity and respect. Ensuring that the state protects religious liberty and freedom of conscience for all. So that's the principle, and this is few questions that help us reflect about that principle, no? And what is, again, remember the principle is every human life is created in God's image and therefore sacred. And then you have all these things, and of course you by now, because you have been listening to me and putting up with me for the last 4 weeks, you probably have more information that you could add to this question regarding human life, no? So that's kind of like when we go to confession, no, when we go to the sacrament of reconciliation, we do an like conscience exam, and just to think, ask ourselves whether we have missed the mark. This is basically the same thing to the candidate. Okay, Dulcin, let's go to the next one. Principle: the family is the domestic church. So, protecting the fundamental understanding of marriage as the lifelong and faithful union of one man and one woman. Increasing support for pregnant women in need. Respecting parents as the first and primary educators of the children. Expanding educational choice for all families. Expanding tax incentives for families that utilize private schools. Allowing a state tax credit for adoption expenses. No? So that's, again, protecting families. So what are we doing, like in the different aspects of the family, like the support and regarding education, regarding like the basic needs of people, and especially in this case women who are pregnant and in need. All that has to do with the family. What is the candidate or the platform of that candidate bringing in, no? Proposing. And of course, in this, again, as I said before, you could add so many other questions that you may have, or what you may think that you could use there as asking, no? Using as a reflection. So, Dulce, the next one. Principle: God has a special love for the poor and vulnerable workers, collaborate in the development of God's creation. So again, the question is, what does the candidate stand on? Increasing the state minimum wage to keep pace with inflation, assuring basic support for people living in poverty, maintaining access to health care for low-income persons, increasing funding for safe and affordable housing, providing treatment instead of incarceration to non-violent drug and alcohol offenders, supporting the right of workers to organize collectively, you know. So that's, again, the principle is God's love for the poor and for the vulnerable, and how we, or how, because the candidate that we are going to vote for is protecting and helping and promoting all these areas, no? So that's good questions that we could ask ourselves and reflect upon, and then of course decide according to our conscience. And then the final one, Dulce, The principle is respect for the creator is shown by our care for his creation. So, where does the candidate stand on supporting farmers and business owners who implement environmentally sound management practices, promoting conservation and alternative renewable energy sources, protecting our state's natural resources? So that's kind of the questions that we could ask there and see what we can do. Okay, now that's basically what we have for our talks on or our share on this document about faithful citizenship and how can we be well informed with the social teachings of the church, and how can we uh, make right choices and decisions. So now I'm gonna open it up to questions. If you have any questions or um, anything that you want to discuss, it will be good. Again, what will be the next topic that you will be interested in talking? That will be another question that we could share here. Just looking if there's any questions. So otherwise, I mean, again, we would. Eloy is gonna post all these five talks. Or I mean, yeah, the one in conscience and the four on the faithful citizenship. If people in order, so that if people want to share it or you want to revisit things that has been talked in the past, that you could do that. Not that you will continue to listen to me, but that would be one thing to that it will be there. But again, if you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, our next topic, I have something in mind, but it's when I look at the thing, it's huge, it's long. We probably will be discussing the last encyclical by Pope Francis, brothers and sisters all. But I don't know. My the reading the document, I'm working on it, so I hope I get it done and then we could do that. I have another question is how did you like our faith first Friday faith sharing? We of course this is more about the program and not the content, because the content is for the person who share with us. But if it's something that you think that is good idea to do and to continue to do it, please let us know that. I don't know what else. So I think Jim Pitts is not today here because he's not asking any questions. So I'm just kidding. Anyway, so well, if there's nothing, Eloy, do you have anything?
I posted in the comments the encyclical of
Okay.
Pope Francis, so people want to look at that.
Okay, Eloy just posted the encyclical, so that means that we really need to do that next week. So I have to better go and read. Okay. So anyway, but we just leave it there, and thank you for connecting and tuning in for us. My hope is when I started doing it, I thought it was gonna be like really 1 or 2 Saturdays, but it took a lot of time. So yeah, yeah, you're welcome, Sheila. We have fun doing this, and I hope this is helpful. And yeah, I don't. If you want to revisit anything, they will be out there for you. So have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Just a friendly reminder for because we are in English here, for people who speak English and like to pray in English and are safe to come to our masses. We have 4 o'clock in St. Patrick's, St. Richard's, and Edwards today. Then we have 9 o'clock again, St. Patrick's, St. Richard's, and Edwards, and then we have 11:30 in St. Richard's. So we are open to uh, for those masses that you are welcome to join us. And again, know that we will continue to um, We will continue to live stream the 9 o'clock mass. We had a small problem issue last week. We decided to come back again to here to St. Richard's until we fix our problems. So we'll play safe. We already know that here it works, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So we will be doing from here. Um, yeah, there's a comment from Ellen. Yes, that's the thing. That's the challenging part, and that's why we need to appeal to your consciences. The comment Ellen comments is that this is helpful and this is a good information, but looking at to the platforms out there, none of them are faithful to all these things, and that's the challenge, and that's where a lot of prayer needs to go into, a lot of reflection needs to go into it, and then again, with this, what I pretend to do was to kind of give you a broad scope of church teaching so that you will be well informed and then make a decision on your own conscience and hope for the best. Okay, so have a wonderful day and enjoy, and see you tomorrow at 9 if you are on live stream mass. Bye bye, take care. Thank you Eloy and Dulce and Joy for being faithful here in these past few Saturdays. Joy has been helping us because Eloy is taking classes in for the diaconal program, so she's been filling in when Eloy is not around. But she's so excited about this that she decided to be today here with us. Okay, have a wonderful day. Blessings.
The Catholic community in Central Racine consists of St. Richard's, St. Patrick's, and St. Edward's parishes. We are one faith, one family, in the heart of Racine.
We are a community of faith who gather to pray and worship together. Every day we strive to grow deeper in our relationship with God and others. We are an inclusive community in which people of various ethnicities come together as one family.
During the pandemic, we have developed our online ministry to reach out to all our family members and community. We currently have the ability to live stream masses and Bible studies 6 days a week. We are on 2 different platforms, YouTube and Facebook, as Catholic Community in Central Racine. We are only able to accomplish this due in part to your commitment to us with prayers and constant support. The success of this ministry depends on your following and sharing with family and friends. We have made some investments to make this possible. If you would like to support this ministry financially, we will be very appreciative of any gift you can offer us.
Thank you and God bless.